Okay, are we here? Did we make it? You guys, going live became so different. Snow full moon just happens to be today. I just decided, I was like, today's the day. I think I want to go live in my group and talk about this stuff. We're going to be talking about self expression and expansion through your business through self expression. So, I shared like my new brand board that I put together. It's so much more simple than I thought it needed to be, which is interesting. You know, I took things from being this big, massive plan to being like, okay, here's exactly what I need, like to not overthink it, right? So, we're going to be talking about that today because I do think that there's a lot of power in branding because it is your self expression. It is how you move through life. It's just showing your environment, and that's kind of the epiphany that I had. This is like my golden nugget for the whole video because I think a lot of people are going to resonate with this where, you know, we're seeing a lot of coaches and entrepreneurs and spiritual leaders in the industry. And I've been calling them lately, I've been calling them the private jet girls. And I think we can all resonate with the private jet girls. Or can we, right? It's like, feeling like we kind of have to show up in that way. So what did I do? I went and I bought all of these like super fancy, very business professional clothing, blazers and jackets and, you know, turtleneck type tight fitting clothes and all this other things. And then I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to like really expand now because I have the fancy things and I've got these fancy wardrobes. And then I would do these photo shoots and I was like, I don't know why, but I don't like it. You know, it was weird. And so I had this moment where I was like, I don't like that, and I don't like this, and I don't like that. And then I got in my head and I was like, well, this is what promoting your services looks like. This is what being abundant and in alignment looks like, right? Not for me. And I had to really stop and think, and I was like, okay, you guys know, if you've been here for a while, you know, when I first launched my business and we had all these conversations about peak potential and about our end goal, right? I talked a lot about like, what would you do if you had the $1 million and you could have the bag in the closet and you could have the car in the garage? What are you doing with your hands? You know, the $1 million question of what are you going to do once you have the millions? Some people would have champagne on a private jet. And I'm learning about myself. And I always knew, you know, I've got my cowgirl hat earrings and I've got my tribal pattern shirt on and it just so happens to be comfy, right? Like if I had the millions, I'm going to be comfortable. Like, that's just me. I'm going to be comfy. Okay. And, you know, I want to have this large scale ranch and be surrounded by animals and greenery and mountains and rivers and lakes, you know, like kind of this Western safari type vibe. And then I started thinking, well, if that's the vibe of what alignment looks like, why would we try to buy clothing and try to base a brand off of a private jet lifestyle? And so what I did was I, you know, started working with coaches and I started working one-on-one with people and I started thinking like, okay, what is wrong with me? Like, why can't I get out of this box? Why can't I stop playing small? And, you know, refusing to post. And so I challenged myself and I was like, you know what I need to do is just go take pictures of my life. I already have very little storage space left on my phone because, you know, I'm always taking pictures. And so I had this epiphany where it was like, why don't you just look at what you have? Like, look at what you already are doing and look at what your life already looks like. And so I logged onto Canva on my phone and I unloaded a bunch of photos from my life. And wouldn't you believe it, if I looked at my Canva now, the photos that I'm already taking are really gorgeous mountainous photos. I took them myself, and the brand looks exactly like it did when I first launched my business. when I first launched, I hired somebody to do my logo and I hired somebody to do my branding and help me with my messaging and all these things. And so I was giving her all of this information of how I want my brand to look. And there's like browns and greens like a forest, and then there's blues and reds like the desert, and then there's like sage and almost like a lavender type color as well. And so it didn't make sense. It wasn't enough cohesive. I don't know. So it was like the person that I hired was just like, I don't know what to do with that. And so I was like, okay, well, I can change it then. And so very early on in my business, I decided to change it and sort of disrupt the energy that was meant to come through. So, you know, it's hard to get right back into business and to throw the energy out into the ethers, right? Of like, we're back, we're loaded, we're ready to go, branding. But the reason that I want to start off with branding is because of how much I held myself back, because I was trying to fit into a mold and I was trying to be like these private jet girls, or trying to be like high heels, pencil skirt, official. And what I realized was when I was in New York with a beautiful, beautiful mastermind by Cara Melody, if you guys know her, she's wonderful. And we were there and we were doing these meditations, and in my Akashic records, I was in this like really high-end office. And I'm looking around and I was like, this is new, you know, and I was in New York and I was, you know, doing these business planning in the financial district of the world. And so there's a reason why I did that and why I went there to work on money matters and everything. And so in my meditations, I was just a little confused as to like my surroundings when I went into the records. And then I sort of just shook that off and I was like, okay, well, show me what I need to hear today and all of those things. And it sort of like moved and shifted into some like in-between place where it's like, okay, my end goal, I see myself having like this general store, right? And in this general store, your girl needs a really good office, like a really, really good office. And so, of course, I have Pinterest boards dedicated to this amazing office that one day I shall have. And so my meditation went there. And when I tap into my future self and the self that's already made it to that point, right? She is on the back of a horse. She has got leathers on, tassels, fringe, all of those things. I wasn't in a pencil skirt. Even in my end goal conference room office, I'm still not in a pencil skirt, right? So I don't know if you guys remember if I think it was 2020, maybe 2018, the cool thing to be wearing and the cool thing to be sharing was rose gold and gold. And it was like the coolest thing, and everybody had this blushy pink, rose gold, and gold. So did I create content around that? Absolutely I did. And did I love it? Yes. But did I resonate with it? No. So, performance issues on the live streams. Okay, let's see. Close some tabs. We could close some tabs. Say less live stream police. Okay. Close some tabs, so hopefully I'm not glitching too bad. But yes, what I wanted to say, ideally, I mean, when it comes to me and my personal experience, I had to realize that the lifestyle I'm already living gets to be enough. And so I took pictures of things around my home, what types of things are hanging up in my house, and what are the color schemes around me, right? So I mentioned we did the pink, there's the remnants of the pink and gold purchase from 2020. It's kind of silly, but yeah, I have this whole personal freak out that I just realized had happened to me, honestly, because from 2017 to 2020, I was open to like changing things around and having things look a little bit different. But the issue was I couldn't post anything because my life doesn't look like that. Right. So this was the epiphany that I had recently. And, there's a lot of things that I want to share in terms of like channeling, in terms of like programs and helping people with one-on-ones and getting into, working with healers and entrepreneurs. And so I need to be able to share my stuff. I need to be able to feel empowered to show up online and show up authentically, which sounds so cliche and it sounds so no brainer. Like, yeah, I mean, obviously. But I didn't know how much I was holding myself back by trying to fit into this mold, right? So that's something I want to do now with you guys and, new potential clients would be taking on the clients one-on-one and work with you guys in order to see what's working and what's not. I just spoke with my coach this morning. I gave her a Voxer message and I was like, my business feels like I've been throwing spaghetti at the wall. And now there's like spaghetti all over the floor and there's spaghetti on the ceiling and there's spaghetti still on the walls. And like, okay, well, we're going to keep that, but we have to like clean house and like move all these things around. And like, that feels so scary to like, do I throw those noodles away because they've been on the floor? Or should I like wash them off and like put them back on the wall? Like, do we get some pins and like put the spaghetti? Oh, it's silly. But, at the end of the day, like I want you guys to really feel like what you do and what you're here to share is important enough that it overshadows sort of the lifestyle that we're already at. Because I think that's a lot of what we get stuck with too, is feeling like our lifestyle isn't high vibe enough for us to go on and post, for us to go on and share. And, it's just not that way. I think that there's a way for us to work with what we already have going on and to empower what we want it to look like, but not pushing it so far to where it's no longer us. And it's a hard thing to admit, to come on here and be like, oh, I've been like trying to be fake for years and years. And, I'm trying not to beat myself up because at the time that was just the way that things were going. And it's like, sort of following trends, and it was sort of doing what I was told and hiring people and having the people that I had hired and spent money on tell me that they couldn't work with it or that that wouldn't work as good as their idea or whatever. So there was a lot of push and pull energetically, and we're really just going to be coming back to empowerment and just being like, look, I'm going to do what I want. And I've been saying that a lot, just like as I go through my day. I'm like, I don't care. I do what I want. And it's worked out because here I am live. I don't know how long it's been since I've been live. I put out a reading on YouTube that's just like a general collective 2025. So I'll link that as well. I just wanted to make sure to mention it. But really just giving myself permission to let my schedule be what it is. I looked up at 11:22 as well, and we're here for the 2:12 portal. Though I know that it is 2:13, but people were saying, that's the thing, people were telling me, I don't know, is it true? We don't know, right? Anyways, just letting things be the way that they're going to be and just allowing that, but also finding power in that too. And we talk about this a lot where it's like expansion comes from within. We activate from within, right? And so when we're worried about all the fuzz and the issues and the global chaos and all the things around us, it can weasel its way into our own core and then start to move us around, right? So there's a lot of quotes on there to be like flexible like the willow tree, and then the next time you look up something it says be steady as the oak tree. It's like, which tree am I going to embody today? Like there's so much out there to tell you what to do. And I realized how much that was really hindering me. So what we have to do to get out of that is really just to hold on to the vision. Like I said, like going into the Akashic Records, seeing this like high scale office and being like, this doesn't make sense. This isn't mine, right? But at the time, I was in New York. I was buying all of the cute pencil skirts and stuff. So that was the direction. And that was the highest timeline in the direction that I was going. So I was giving the message to the universe, this is what I want. Until I actually put myself into that future self and said, does this actually look like my future self? I know my future self quite well, actually. And she's on horseback somewhere over there. So I had to like how I have only, don't look at that. I can't go live today. My nails are, I'm missing 2 nails. I know. Anyways. Distracted live streams. We need to have a whole blooper reel. I've always thought about doing that. Anywho, coming back to the vision of who you actually are looking to be and having a good relationship with your future self as well. And that's something in the Akashic Records I really love to do. Future self and then past life self as well. Because one thing that I've been going through a lot as I'm trying to empower myself through this, kind of topsy-turvy moment in my branding and in my business and getting back out there, getting back online, is the past ridicule wounds that I have found in my personal life. Those people who are like, have you got a job yet? What do you do all day? Just the weird vibe around having this freedom-based lifestyle, because that was another thing I thought I needed to talk about a lot when I was following the private jet girls. Was they really talk a lot about money is flowing in all the time. I can fly to Dubai if I want to. I'm over here in Malibu. Tomorrow I'll be in Barcelona. And I was like, okay, I need to do that too. And in my mind, it's like I wake up when I want. I'll maybe get myself a mimosa. And then maybe I'll have coffee later and take a little nappy nap. To me, that was embodying that same energy. And then the people in my life were like, oh, so you're really just sitting around all day. It was this weird thing where I was attempting to appear in alignment, and instead I appeared almost lazy. And that was people in my life getting in my head, and it was the private jet girls getting in my head at the same time, creating this massive, not fun ebb and flow within my mindset, right? So it really comes back to giving yourself permission to be where you are. And, something that I've really been tapping into a lot lately as I'm going through all this spaghetti that's on the floor and the ceiling and the wall is I've done a lot of work. I don't sit and do nothing. I really enjoy my business. I really enjoy what I'm here to create. I've got programs coming out. I've got one-on-ones I want to do. And I honestly just want to do one-on-ones. That's one of my favorite things. I love seeing where other people are, and I love diving into that, and I like to do these little audits and say, where are you and what's working and how can we shift that and what does that feel like for you, right? And a lot of this whole time frame I've been kind of left to my own devices, and only recently have hired coaches, and being able to have a Voxer support consistently, it's weird. And tell me if you guys do this too. But I've noticed throughout my life that I will have my narrator in my head, and I'm usually just talking to the ethers or talking to the world. And when I have people in my life that I can bounce ideas off of consistently, my narrator will start to kind of talk to them. Does that make sense? And so the coach that I'm working with now is very spiritually led, very in the Akashic Records and doing astrology and things like that. So I'll just brain dump, and then I go about my day and I'm like, oh, I need to tell that to Kara. Oh, I need to tell this to Kara, right? And so I'm just consistently thinking to myself, what would she do with it? And what that's doing is it's reframing my brain to somebody who's already made it past these hurdles. I'm brain dumping to somebody who already knows. Does that make sense? So I'm finding that I'm realizing my own answers. I'm coming to my own conclusions because I'm narrating my brain differently. Does that make sense? Okay, so I wanted to get into more of this self-expression and really talking about the personal story as well, where we began, And I talk a lot about how I was, excuse me, born and raised in this Mormon church. Very, very straight and narrow is the only way. Family is the only support system. Like, it was very closed-minded, very suppressed and oppressed. And they were very keen on, like, what not to do. And a lot of that was, like, not look at other religions and other churches. And I was like, why? So I got really, really intrigued with the I Ching and Taoism, which is why I've got this tattoo here, which I got when I was 16. That was kind of my big breakaway, right? And then after looking into Chinese Taoism and all of that ancient text and ancient knowledge, that leads to Buddhism and Hinduism and yoga and those types of things, which leads to Reiki. And then I was, always raised here in the Midwest, or the American West. So there's Native American theologies all over. And so I was always so drawn to these ancient civilizations or just cultural traditions, which brings on its own onset of issues in means of appropriation. Because as you guys can see, I'm basically transparent. And that's another thing about sharing openly online. When you're enthralled with all of these beautiful other traditions, people have a lot to say about that, and I get it. I do. But I also have my own viewpoint on that, if that makes sense. So, that's a lot. And that's my backstory, right? Like, my backstory is a feeling drawn and connected to ancient civilizations, and like being connected in the spirit with these elders and ancestors, and then having people have such a problem with that. Okay, I won't post about that anymore. Okay, well, that's kind of the big deal, So there's a lot that goes on with this whole ebb and flow. And, it just comes down to, like, how much do you want this vision to work? Like, how bad do you want it? And I heard it said, I think it was a tarot reader on YouTube who said, if you're a chosen one for, like, this latter day, or, to lead this revolution for the new race and all of this stuff, like, you have to carry that cross. And I thought that was so interesting, because we know that of Jesus of Nazareth, he carried the cross, and he was said to be like this chosen one, and we're all sons and daughters, etc., etc. So, when you get these callings and you feel connected to this big mission, there's going to be a cross to carry. And I thought that was very interesting. And it's going to be different for all of us, and it's going to strike a different chord for all of us, which is why it's another really good thing, I feel, to work with clients, because it gets you out of your own head. And then you're working one-on-one with somebody, and you're just like, well, what is it that you do? I want to know. Like, tell me the vision. And then you get into that, and then you see their mindset stuff come up, and then you see the money matters come up, and then you see the magic come through, and you get to do this whole, like, stop right there. What did you just say? And it's like this magical golden nugget that just came out of your client, and you're like, I'm writing that down. And then you send it to them, and you're like, this needs to be your graphic. This needs to be your brand message. And it's like they came up with it while they were brain dumping, right? So there's a lot to be said about the squirrel brain and the brain dump, because that's the beginning of our self-expression, right? A lot of times we're going to brain dump because we're frustrated, or because we don't know what to do, or we don't know where we're going. And then in that expression, this like explosion of energy, comes all this beauty and all of this understanding as well. So we have to get to that point where we're comfortable with the explosion, right? It's like this burst that happens. And I have another golden nugget that I put together. I don't even remember how this came to me. I don't know if it was in a meditation or what, but it was years ago. And I said, the reason why people have a spiritual awakening when they hit rock bottom is because that's the moment they finally surrender. And I have loved that quote forever. It's another thing. It's like, where do I patent that? Can I patent that? Can I put that in a book and like have these millionaires quote me? Because I don't know, it's a pretty good quote if I do say so. So, but it makes sense, you know? It's like we have to hit rock bottom sometimes before we finally surrender to source, to universe, and the divine, and we are able to really see like we are connected to everything and everything is us. And once we get out of that 3D reality of, oh, I had this experience and it was bad, and I had this relationship and it was bad, and I had this and that and the other 3D experience that was bad, when you finally just lay down flat on the floor, the stone floor, and you just think, oh my gosh, nothing matters. Nothing matters. And then you have this awakening experience and you're like, what can I do with my life if nothing matters? And it's this freedom that happens, right? So that I feel is where we really get in tune with what it is we're offering. That's where we get in tune with what we're here to do and our mission. What could I do if nothing else matters? What would I do if I already had the millions? That's the same kind of like expansion of the mindset that I always try to like trigger people into, right? Just be thinking, you already have the money, money doesn't matter. What do you do because you want to? And everybody always says travel, but think above and beyond that, right? Like if you needed to help the next 7 generations, like I'm thinking planting forests, I'm thinking horseback riding lessons for special needs people, you know, things like that, where it's like you're still having a good time, but you're still there to assist, right? And spiritual online coaching for other spiritual entrepreneurs, right? Like, what does that look like for you? And what's the personal story behind it that gives you that creative expression, right? I didn't get to grow up on a farm, but both my parents did. So I have this little vendetta, like, you guys decided to take me to the suburbs. Well, you guys grew up on horseback, like, that's messed up. So now I have this, like, inkling that, oh my gosh, I just want to be out in the country somewhere, right? So that's kind of my big personality story. That's my big why. I just want to be out there looking at rolling green hills. And I think a lot of people do, right? And we get these callings because if everyone has a calling to go and live in the green grass instead of the concrete jungle, we're going to be planting the grass, we're going to be watering that grass, and we're going to make the world green again, right? Which such is the prophecy. So it all doubles back. It all comes back around full circle, right? Like, this is the life that I was given and how I was raised. This is what I was pushed into or what I felt called to. Here's the hiccups and the issues with that, which brought me back to my reasoning as to why. And then I moved through this. So we're going through this spiral, right? And through that, we're learning so much about ourselves and about our own environment, yes, but expression. And how can we help people that are just a couple steps behind us, right? So, you know, a lot of these things we've heard before, and a lot of these things, like, you can say the words, like, okay, your branding shouldn't be being put into a mold of other people. Of course. Like, I heard that so many times, but was I doing that? Yes, I was. And my branding should be an extension of my lifestyle. Awesome. Yeah, love that. In one ear, out the other. What I actually physically had to do was have my camera so full of photos that I had to get rid of them by putting them on Canva. Only in that moment did I look at my Canva and think, there's content there. That's a brand. Like, it was kind of an accident. And that's how I had to realize my branding is an extension of my lifestyle. Yeah. And, you know, don't follow trends when it comes to expressing what that lifestyle is. Yeah. But was I watching the private jet girls? Yeah. You know, so it's like both can be true. And maybe at one point in my life, I wanted to, you know, go that direction. But it took me being in New York, doing meditations, and seeing that that was the direction I was going to be like, why am I here in the Akashic Records when I know that I belong over there? And I realized, like, I had shifted timelines and I was going this way. And I was like, I don't like that photo shoot. Okay, my business name is Mountain Medicine. and I'm in pencil skirts, like I'm culturally appropriating myself. It was weird. I had so many weird epiphanies, guys. So many crazy epiphanies. So please do let me know in the comments. Let me know how you guys are going through these same things. Like, I always think when I feel called to talk about a topic, it's because that's what you guys need. And so I'm assuming that's where we are. But let me know kind of where you are, and if, you've already kind of unlocked the piece about the lifestyle and you do share all the time, but you're playing small and you're just too scared to share a product or a service, but you're open to sharing consistently. What does that look like? Where are you? Like, where are you? Sometimes I say funny things. Yeah, and are you giving yourself permission to express yourself fully, like a full self-expression, right? Is there a part of you that's hiding? Are you fitting in? Your personal story, where does that begin? Where does that take you? Your big why, your reason, your purpose, your passion, right? Where did it stem from? Where did it come from? Was it a personal experience? If so, what was that experience, right? And how much do you believe in the mission? I mean, it's a kind of a hard question to answer, right? Because I've had to really look at myself a lot with this, because it's like, well, do you believe it's going to work or not? And I did that collective reading for YouTube yesterday, day before, whatever day, and it was like, are you feeling lucky? It was literally like, you're manifesting all the time. Are you feeling lucky? Wow, because we're manifesting all the time, and if we don't feel lucky, if we don't feel like we're getting everything that we're supposed to, we don't feel like we're being aligned with our highest good, what are you manifesting? And I had to really look at that. Right? And that's where it comes back to mindset. So this group is going to be renamed. It's going to go back to its original name, Mountain Medicine Mindset. It's kind of a mouthful, but it's mine, and that's the way it was created, and so it shall be. And my branding is going to go back to its original roots. Literally looks like roots and trees and forests and mountains, because that makes sense. And I really surprised myself when I realized that I was doing this to myself, okay? It was like, of course I don't want to post anything because I don't live on a jet. Sorry, it's just funny. Yeah, so please do comment and let me know where you guys are now. What I want to do is have maybe like a mini series or some sort of challenge in here that challenges you guys to see where you are in your branding. Like, show me your Instagram now. Like, we're going to do a group wide branding audit to see if we're really in line. So let me know how that resonates, because that sounds so fun to me. If you guys remember, we did a personal power challenge where we took like the astrology and we took some other things. I don't remember. I'll have to go back, because this was 2017 when we did it, but it was so powerful, and you guys were all sharing on here. Like, I got lost in your guys' stories and like sharing what it was that you had to share. Like, it was such a beautiful thing. So I miss that. I miss it. I really do. And I miss being live in here all the time, like constantly. I had to sell that darn house, and now that's done. So new space. Do we like it? Do we love it? Giant cat tree. The cat can't even be here because she climbs me and is on me like a scarf, and it hurts. So if I get on Zoom for my one-on-ones, I start screaming because my cat attacks me ruthlessly. Actually, it's very rude. But anyways, I wanted to see if you guys are open to something like that, where we're prompted to share and we go on Pinterest, or we go through our own phones and we go through our collection of things. Like these wood bowls over here were my grandparents, and I've got the cute little like, you are my cup of tea, can't get my finger to work, and then like the wings, and then I've got my snake cages right here next to me, and sand paintings upstairs, and my actual bookshelf. What does that look like? And I'm giving away too much because this is going to be a part of our challenge if we do it. So let me know how that resonates with you guys. I'll make a couple posts as well for any of you guys who don't get through the 36 minutes of this live stream, but I'll make a post or several about this challenge, and maybe we'll vote on it and see who's available. I want to say, I guess we'll call it a challenge because I want you guys to share because I love that. I loved that. A challenge around branding, and maybe we just say lifestyle. And maybe if you guys don't even have a business anymore, or like, I've noticed that too. A lot of people have stepped away, and I did too, so I can't be like mad about it. But I feel like a lot of the people have stepped back, and it's weird. It's weird. So I'll see people sharing, but it's not anything with business, you know? So yeah, let me know where you are with that because I'm curious to know that. But if it's just lifestyle, then it's just lifestyle. And like, what are we manifesting then? Like, let's talk about that. Let's talk about manifesting. And if we liked the daily lives, I used to do like Monday manifesting, Law of Attraction Tuesday, card pulls on Wednesdays, promos on Fridays. Like, if you guys have stuff to share in here, how can we bring it back? Because I also noticed that like all of the Facebook groups went away or died. So are Facebook groups still cool? Do we still like it? You guys tell me a little bit of what it is. But aside from the challenge that will eventually work into a group program, like a course, and it's going to be very, very magical, but it's coming in middle of March. So there will be some info on that. But right now, I want to open my schedule to one-on-ones, consultation calls, because I love these. When we get together for just an hour and we just talk about what's going on with you, do a little bit of like an audit, and we're just on call for about an hour, and we just talk about where you are, what you're doing, and again, you have this brain dump, and then I can stop you and be like, did you just hear yourself? That was good, right? So that's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I want. So like I said, I've just been being like, listen, I don't care. I do what I want. And right now I want to do one-on-one calls. So they're free. So I'll be posting about that, and let me know how you guys resonate with this challenge. It would require some posting, and I think it's a very healing thing when, you know, we're open to sharing things like that. And especially in a closed space like this one, where it's like the only people in here are the ones who get it and are also doing the same thing or something similar. And so we don't have to share our gold and be like, oh, this is my top secret agenda, but it's like, this is the grand scheme, the theme, the viewpoint, and my take on it and what my lifestyle looks like, so we can all be like, that's freaking awesome, and celebrate each other, right? And tap into this idea of leadership and leading our own courses, leading our own offerings, leading our own clients, because essentially that is the goal, right? With whatever it is that you do. So I'll be here, I'll be around. Message me if you are available for a consulting call, because that sounds great and fun and amazing, and I would love to do that with you. So let me know. I will see you guys in a little while. Love you so much. Bye.